ॐ नमो नारायणाय ॐ नमो नारायणाय
Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmad Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmad Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So we've been talking about, we've been discussing Puja, a Smarta ritual, and this is our third class. We're going to continue on with the text. Now we're talking about domestic ritual. Domestic worship and temple ritual. In a private house, the regular worship offered to the idols usually consists of more or less elaborate puja in the morning, possibly followed by reading of parts of sacred texts and recitation of stotras, meanings different verses. At lunchtime, the cooked food is first offered to the idols before it's consumed by the family members. In the evening, again, a short puja may take place. While the domestic puja is often performed on a smaller scale, rich temples conduct a number of elaborate rituals, beginning with the ceremonial wake-up of the deity, various pujas and food offerings, naivedya, until the idol is put to sleep at night. It is beyond the scope of the present work to treat the forms of temple worship in detail. As an example of the daily worship at the temple of Vishnu, Vitoba, at Pandharpur, Maharashtra, shall be noted in short, where generally 5 services are conducted. Number 1, the ritual of waking up the god at dawn. The god is awakened by reciting artis and waving a burning wick dipped in oil in front of the idol. Number 2, this is followed by Panchamrita Puja, a puja during which baths with 5 nectars or amrita are offered. Number 3, the midday worship or Madhyana Puja, which is followed by an offering of food at about 11 a.m. Number 5, the afternoon worship, Aparahna Puja, also known as Dhupa Arti, at about 6 p.m., consists mainly of waving the incense, dhupa, and lamp, deepa. Number 5, the ritual of putting the god to sleep, Sejarati, takes place at about 11 p.m. In the offering of these services, 7 kinds of ministrants are involved. Number 1, the pujari who performs the actual puja. 2, the benari who recites the accompanying Vedic mantras. Number 3, the Haridas who recites the artis in Marathi. Number 4, the paricharak, the pujari's assistant, who prepares the utensils and materials for the baths and for the arti. Number 5, the dingre, an assistant who shows the mirror to the idol. Number 6, the divte, who carries a torch, dipti, before the idol. Number 7, the dhange, the mace bearer who carries a mace of silver or gold before the idol. On special days, the routine is altered. Thus, about 8 days before the 11th Ekadasi of the bright Shukla half of the months Ashad and Kartika, the Seja artis and the Kakadartis are skipped as the god is supposed to take rest to allow his devotees to visit him. In the Vishnu temples of Maharashtra, an early morning service takes place in connection with the Kartika Shnana, which is attended by many. It begins with the waking up of the deity and the waving of the Karkada and singing of the Karkada artis. The term Karkada arti is also used to denote the complete ritual of worship that follows the waving of the Karkada in front of the idol. It consists of offerings of different kinds of services accompanied by the singing of Marathi songs addressed to Krishna and Rama in their child forms, like water to clean like water to clean the mouth, milk, sugar, a bath, sandalwood paste, garlands, ornaments, food, betel nut, staff, and flute, to Krishna as his form as a cowherd boy, right? Mirror, fly whisk, chamara, fan, instrumental music, dance. Many of these services are also offered in the puja of 16 services, which is called Shodashupachara Puja. But in addition to those services, there have been incorporated here as others have been incorporated here as like the removing of the evil eye from the idol and the carrying of the idol seated on a palanquin in procession. Number and kinds of services. During the puja, different services or upacharas are offered to the idol, which vary in number from 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 18, 27, 29, 32, 36, 38, 64, 72 to 108. The worship with 5 upacharas, Panchopachara Puja, is very common, while the one with 16 upacharas, Shodashupachara, is the standard type of puja to be performed in temples. Also at home, when there is sufficient time or a special occasion. 5 as well as 16 are symbolic numbers, both signifying completeness. When something consists of 5 or 16 parts, it's considered to be complete. Although the number of services of Shodashupachara Puja is always counted as 16, their kind and sequence differ from source to source. There are hardly 2 lists of upacharas that are identical. The differences concern mainly the second part of the worship, which means the services offered to the idol after the Abhishek bath. The services that occur in the puja text from Rig Veda, Brihad Karma, or Brahma Karma Samuchaya, right? Provided from pages 106 are listed on pages 102, 103. Those services, which are offered while a verse of the Puruષ Sukta is recited, are underlined. Traditionally, the recitation of the 16 verses, according to the Rig Veda tradition of the Puruષ Sukta, Rig Veda 1090, accompanies the offering of the services, as can be seen from the list on page 102 to 103 easily. The actual number of services is more than 16. Consequently, not all can be accompanied by recitation of a verse from the famous sukta. Therefore, some services are offered while reciting other mantras from Vedic literature. The Rig Veda, down here we've got some, is there any, there's some mention of lists of upacharas in different places, in Vishwaksena Samhita and some other places. Okay, and there's also a mention that Puruષ Sukta of the Taittiriya branch of the Krishna Yajurveda consists of 18 verses, and subsequently the puja of those belonging to this branch consists of 18 services. So also other shastras, other literature, the Rig Veda, the Brahmanas, and the Aranyakas the selection of which follows a long tradition, and some services are explained as forming parts of others, so that the number 16 can be maintained in all cases. The offering of water for sipping Achamaniya is not counted separately when it follows some services, like the food offering. In addition to the usual services, a seat, water to wash the feet, water for sipping, etc., services originally intended for a king, Rajopachara, are offered on special occasions, like umbrella, chatra, chowri, chamara, mira, darpana, swing, andolana, fan, vyajana, wooden sandals, paruka, sound of the conch, shankanada, songs, gita, musical instruments, vadya, dance, nritya, or elephants, horses, recitation of stories from the Puranas, etc. In mental puja or mental worship, Many more items, such as palaces, etc., can be offered, as there's no restriction to the imagination. This is reflected in the Manasa Puja stotras. So there are some verses that describe mental worship. In elaborate, especially tantric forms of puja, the fire offerings, homa, is being retained, as well as the Bali offerings to the Bhutas, so other living entities. If at the time of worship some material is found missing, it can be replaced by a substitute, pratinidhi, such as unbroken grains, akshata, grains of rice. According to others, one should offer flowers. If they are not available, one should give water, and if water cannot be had, one should offer everything. One should offer everything mentally. In such cases, the offering formula is sometimes changed from I offer, samarpayami, X, whatever it is, to I devise, parikalpayami, whatever. So it is considered better to perform a puja with simple means and employment of substitutes than not to perform it. Taking this into consideration, the declaration formula, or sankalpa vow, stresses that the offerings of the puja are made according to the material available and according to one's ability, yata shakti. However, one should aim at the best possible and not the second best. A person who can afford to worship with all services but uses substitutes instead will get a poor result. All materials offered should be in perfect condition and unspoiled, garments untorn, flowers fresh and not smelled at before, grains unbroken, akshata. The Puranic mantras, which accompany the offerings, eulogize the services by saying that they are of the best quality which are available. The actual offering of the services in puja does not require much time, unless the Abhishek bath is performed accompanied by the repeated recitation of a sukta or stotra for a particular number of times. If several deities are worshipped in one puja, that is, the deities of the Panchayatana, the 5 forms of Brahman that, according to Shankara, this can be done in 2 ways. Number 1, all services from invocation to prostration are offered to one deity first and then to the others. 2, all services are offered to all deities at the same time. So these are 2 different ways of worshipping multiple deities. Mantras. Mantras from the Vedic literature. In the puja performed belonging to the Rig Veda tradition of Maharashtra, verses and passages from the Rig Veda, Aitreya Brahmana, Taittiriya Brahmana, Taittiriya Aranyaka are employed to accompany and sanctify the ritual acts. At first sight, the selection of these mantras seems accidental. It has often been argued that mere similarity of words without consideration of their meaning in the original context is what in which they occur, has been the principle for their employment. Such statements do not do justice to the way of thinking, which is quite different from that of modern man. A sacred text is believed not to be restricted to the one meaning of the original context. As a manifestation of truth seen by divine seers, it is considered to be meaningful in other contexts as well, and available to every being at any time. It has hidden meanings, which can be found out in meditation. Thus, the mantra, Ganananam Tva Ganapatigum Havamahe, Rig Veda 2:23:1, originally addressed to Brihaspati, became a leading mantra for the worship of the elephant-headed Ganapati or Ganesha on account of the words Gananam, Ganapatim. The person who discovered and employed this mantra first for Ganapati's worship was perhaps well aware of that the verse was addressed to Brihaspati in the original context. But as a verse of the Veda, the stanza is believed to include the concept of the deity Ganapati as well. Closer examination of the mantras recited in the puja also reveals that there exists a long tradition for their employment in specific contexts and that their employment is quite meaningful and appropriate in many cases. This has already been shown by Apte, Pillai, and Gonda for the employment of Vedic mantras in Vedic rituals. The mantras, which being of superhuman origin and considered partial materializations of the eternal truth, concentrated essence of divine reality, are to consecrate the ritual acts and to establish the contact between the worshipper and the divine. Furnish us with a wealth of information on the meaning and purpose of the acts in connection with which they are pronounced. The application of a mantra to a new purpose may in principle be regarded as pointing to the employment of mantras depends on the tradition of Vaikhanasans, right? Vaikhanasas of South India use different mantras than the Maharashtrian Rigvedis, right? Whose tradition is accounted for in this study. So what was the end of the sentence? Application of a mantra for a new purpose may in principle be regarded as pointing to the conviction on the part of a religious community that there existed essential identity of, or at least a similarity between the act of to which the mantra originally belonged and the rite to which it was transferred. It is, speaking quite generally, true that in many cases, the sole reason for the selection of a Vedic mantra for a special Vaishnavite purpose seems to have been that one of the terms contained in it has some affinity with the definite ritual act, although the hymn in its entirety is irrelevant. It is also true that in many cases, these Vedic mantras were a superimposition upon a ritual with which they originally had nothing to do. We should, however, beware of generalizations. It no doubt goes too far to qualify any connection between a Vedic mantra and a Vishnuite rite as arbitrary. In the commentary on the text of the Shodashupachara Puja, page 104, I have endeavored to show traditions of employments of mantras and to explain the reasons which might have led to their use in certain contexts. The most important mantras employed in the puja are the 16 verses of the Rig Veda, version of the Purusha Sukta Rig Veda 1090. This famous hymn describes the sacrifice of the Purusha by the gods, through which the world was created. Purusha was later identified with Narayana, and the hymn gained extraordinary importance in Vaishnavism. In ritual application, the Purusha Sukta signifies the new birth of the sacrificer and the purification from all evil. The contents of the single verses of Purusha Sukta cannot be expected to be related to the services which are offered in the puja. Moreover, the lists of services to be offered differ to the effect that not always the same verses occupy the offering of same services. Even then, Halayuddha, in his Brahmana Sarvasva, 12th century AD, pages 135, 138, 140 to 142, endeavors to interpret the meaning of each stanza as related to one service. So also there's a note down here where it says that Taittiriya Aranyaka 312 knows a version of Purusha Sukta with 18 stanzas, which is employed in the puja with 18 services. The Taittiriya Aranyaka version occurs in the Hiranyakeshiya Anika Achara Bhushana, pages 223, 221, 228, and 224. It is said to be employed in the puja with 18 services by the Yajurvedans. For different versions of the Purusha Sukta, Shende, 1965, for its employment in different rites, Gonda, 1968 to 69, pages 500 to 502. And also down here, we're talking about in footnote 239, verse 1 of the Purusha Sukta for Avahana, 2 for asana, 3 for padya, 4 for agya, 5 for achamaniya, 6 for shnaniya, 7 for achadana, 8 for yagyopavita, 9 for ganda, 10 for pushpa, 11 for dhupa, 12 for pradipa, 13 naivedya, 14 anjali karana, 15 pradakshina, and 16 udvasana. So the same work interprets Vedic mantras, which are employed in the pujas of Surya and other heavenly bodies, Shiva and Chandi. So other mantras and hymns. While males of the 3 upper castes, whose Upanayanam has taken place, are entitled to perform the puja accompanied with the recitation of mantras from the Vedic literature. Women and those belonging to other castes may recite the so-called Puranic mantras. These are Sanskrit mantras from the Purana literature, which are comparatively easy to pronounce, being unaccented, and were composed specifically for the use in puja, Their sources are difficult to trace, as they occur in many texts with a great number of variants. Further, the so-called Namaskara mantra can be used: salutation to Vishnu, I offer such and such. Hymns of praise, stotra, may occur in 2 stages in the puja. They may be recited at the time of the abhishekam, or the special kind of bath, but more often Vedic suktas are recited in this place. Stotras may further be recited immediately after the completion of the puja. At the time of the abhisheka, suktas as well as stotras may be repeated for a specific number of times. For example, the Shiva Mahimna stotra, attributed to Pushpadanta. Pushpadanta was one of the 4 disciples of Adi Shankaracharya. For Shiva is repeated 11 times, 11 being the number associated with Rudra, because there are 11 forms of Rudra, Shiva. The Ganesha Tarva Shirsha Upanishad, for Ganesha, 21 times, it being the number connected with offerings of Durva, Modaka. Durva is the type of grass, Modaka is the type of sweet, to Ganesha. The recitation of stotras at the end of the current form of the daily Smarta Puja is not too common, but it forms an important part of Tantric Puja. PP page 94 recommends the recitation of Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Vishnu stotra, in this place. In Maharashtra, mantras in vernaculars are not employed during the puja, except for the artis. These are metrical compositions in matra, or beat. So down here also we have discussion of footnote 244, where Gonda says that, see Gonda page 77 for the songs of the Dravida poets or alwars in South Indian temple ceremonies and the use of Tamil in worship under influence of the Bhakti movement. So we finished off here that these are metrical compositions in matra, meters, like Parilina, where they are sung in praise of the deity while vertically rotating clockwise, burning camphor, kapura, and lamps of wicks soaked in ghee or edible oil in front of the idol. See illustration 28. This corresponds to the act of nirajana, page 170. The singing of the arti may be accompanied by hand clapping, rhythmic sound of cymbals, drums, or bells. The arti the artis which are current in Maharashtra are composed in Marathi and Hindi. The ones in Marathi contain the refrain, "Victory, O God or Goddess, victory, O God or Goddess, Jaya Deva or Jaya Devi, Jaya Deva or Jaya Devi." Early artis, known as jatis, were composed by Mahimpat, the author of Leela Charitra, and are known as Jatikcha Dashaku, or the group of 10 jatis. The beginning of one of them is quoted in Bhaidev Bas Puja Vasara. See page 43, written around 1278 AD, and is known to have been used in the worship of Chakradhara. Chakradhara is the name of Vishnu, holding the chakra or the wheel weapon. Those artis composed in Sanskrit, Aratrika, Artikya, Nirajana, seem to be imitations of the Marathi artis. It is customary in Maharashtra to sing the Ganapati arti by Ramdas first, and then artis in honor of other deities. The translation of this famous arti follows here for illustration. Quote, "The giver of happiness, remover of sorrow, he leaves no trace of obstacles, confers love. This is his grace. He has all over his body beautiful application of vermilion. Round his neck a garland of pearls glitters. Victory, O God, victory, O God, victory to you, whose form is auspicious. By mere sight of you all, by mere sight of you, all wishes are fulfilled. O son of Gauri, on your forehead is an ornament studded with gems. You have sandalwood paste applied to your body and kumkum and saffron. The crown studded with diamonds shines beautiful. At the feet, anklets and bells jingle, O God, victory. O you with a protruding belly and a yellow silken garment, having a large snake as a girdle, a straight trunk, a curved mouth, 3 eyes. Ramdas is waiting for you to come to his house. O you who have been worshipped by the best of the gods, respond to me in difficulties, protect at the end of life, O God, victory." So this is one Marathi arti for Ganesha. So, deficiencies in worship and atonements. The fear of evil consequences and offenses, which one might have unknowingly committed, is reflected in the prayer to Vishnu for forgiveness, which is said to end every puja. Several lists have come down to us which enumerate in somewhat non-logical order such acts which are considered offenses or deficiencies, aparada or apachara, in Vishnu's worship. It should, however, be mentioned that these lists do not seem popular in modern ritual practice, at least in Maharashtra, and that the atonements or prayashchittas enjoined in them do not seem to be followed. The following list of offenses are known to me, and this is from Vishnu Vraha Purana, chapters 129 to 136, lists 32 offenses, together with punishments and atonements to prevent these punishments. A summary of the contents of these chapters occurs in Vraha Purana 116.5, text 5 to 36, and another one which is incomplete and shows a different sequence in Vraha Purana 177, 5 to 7, 177, 9, and 177, 11. Here, the number of offenses is said to be 33 instead of 32. The actual list, however, contains less offenses. Some are additional to the ones occurring in Vraha Purana 129 to 136. This list gives only a few atonements. Vraha Purana 129 to 136 is quoted in PP, pages 166, 11, 188, 4. In an abridged form, which with Mitra Mishra's short explanations. The textual version of the PP is somewhat corrupt and frequently deviates from the Vraha Purana. The chapters of Vraha Purana are further summarized in Raghunandana's Ahnika Tattva or Smriti Tattva, Volume 1, page 418, in Vamsidhara's BDP, which I don't know what that is, page 156, 8 to 16, and BHP 7523 in Krishna Bhatta Arde's Ratnamala, pages 12, 11, 21, 12, 13, 20, on the Nirnaya Sindhu, and in Nityachara Hariti, page 481, 8 to 11 through 18. and Nitya Achara Pradipa, volume 1, pages 596, 16, 599, 14. PR, pages 118 to 122, 6, attributes another list of allegedly 32 offenses. The actual number is 25 to Varaha Purana chapter 45. This list cannot be located in the printed edition of the Purana. The third list of 32 offenses occurs in the PR, pages 122, 11, 123, 4, as quoted from an unidentified source. PP, page 188, 89 to 189, 2, quotes this list as coming from the Agama. BDP, pages 257, 713, and BHP, Bhagavad Purana, I guess, here, 6.8, Canto 6, chapter 8, verse 17, quotes it as belonging to Pancharatra. It further occurs in Jiva Goswami's Krama Sandarbha, page 168 to 15, and 7, 5, 23. Nich Achara Paditi, page 478, 1 to 16, and Nitya Achara Pradipa, volume 1, page 592, 15, 593, 11, 10. With notes and explanations, page 593, 11. Ratnamala, pages 12, 15, 4, and 18, quotes it as coming from Agasti. In Acharendu, pages 175 to 122, 176, 7. It occurs according to a teacher of the Vaikhanasa school. Remember, there's Vaikhanasa and Pancharatra, two different types of Vishnu worship. So D, a list of 32 offenses occurs in Ratnamala, page 1214, 3, and 1215, 2, as coming from the Krishna Bhattiya. 10 offenses, according to the Padma Purana, are listed in BDP, page 155, 117, 17, and Bhagavad Purana, 7th canto, 5th chapter, 23rd verse. A list of 100 offenses, according to the Garuda Purana, is quoted in the Ratnamala, page 1215, 26, 1225, 21. PP, page 189, 14 to 18, quoting Varaha Purana, page 191, 11 to 13, and PR, pages 123, 6 to 11, lists other single offenses and atonements, quoting various sources. Moreover, the Pancharatra Samhitas frequently mention offenses in the puja in chapters treating with the atonements. The offenses provided in these lists consist mainly of violations against the ritual purity which is necessary for worship. Thus, referring to the worshipper's purity, that of his garments, his diet, objects touched by him, others concern the etiquette of the behavior in temples, or the worshipper's mental attitude. It is beyond the scope of the present work to summarize the contents of all these lists. It is following only lists A. In the following of lists, only lists A, B, and C are provided. Although not all offenses occurring in these lists are directly connected with puja, they're supplied here to give some idea about general rules of conduct. So additional references, Varaha Purana 177, 5, 116, 5, partaking of food obtained from others. Number 2, going, so that was number 1 was there. 1 was okay, so the list of 32 offenses in puja occurring in Varaha Purana 129, 5, and 1 to 136. So number 1, the devotees partaking of food obtained from a king. That's an offense. Number 2, Going near the idol without having cleaned one's teeth. Number 3, touching the idol directly after sexual intercourse and without bathing afterwards. Number 4, worship after touching or seeing a dead body or after going to a burning place. Number 5, touching an idol after touching a menstruating woman. Touching a woman also who is impure by childbirth. 6, staying near the idol after touching a dead body or after seeing a dead body or touching it. 7, breaking wind while touching the idol. 8, voiding stool. PP adds urine and semen during the worship. 9, abandoning the prescribed mantras and talking irrelevant things during worship. 10, wearing a blue garment while going near the idol. Number 11, going near the idol without having rinsed his mouth according to the rule. Number 12, touching the idol with an angry mind. Number 13, worshipping with unsuitable flowers. Number 14, wearing a rukta or red garment while going near the idol. Okay. Number 15, touching the idol in the darkness without lighting a lamp. 16, wearing a black garment during worship. 17, wearing an unwashed garment during worship. 18, offering of residual food eaten and thus polluted by a dog. Number 19, going near the idol after eating boar's meat or after eating fish. Number 20, going near the idol after eating the meat of a web-foot animal, that is duck, goat, etc. Number 21, worshipping after touching a lamp or touching a lamp without performing achaman after for purification. 22, touching the idol directly after coming from the burning place and without bath. Number 23, going near the idol after eating oil cakes, piñaka. 24, offering boar's meat as naivedya. Number 25, going near the idol after drinking alcohol. Number 26, eating safflower kusumba before worship and offering it as a naivedya. We got some other things mentioned in the, like eating the village pig, etc., in different places in the footnotes here. Prohibition on pork. Okay, so number 27, wearing another's unwashed garment while worshiping. Number 28, eating newly harvested grain given by someone without offering it to the deity. Number 29, offering incense without offering sandalwood paste, ganda, and garlands. Number 30, going near the idol while wearing shoes on the feet. Number 31, waking up the deity without sounding the drum. Number 32, going near the idol while belching due to a rich undigested meal and without taking bath. Number B, there's a list of offenses quoted in PR. I don't know what that is. As coming from also Varaha Purana. So 1, disturbing, singing, musical instrument, dancing, telling of religious stories, etc. in the temple. 2, bowing to the idol while one's body is covered with a cloth. 3, bowing to the idol while wearing a black woolen blanket. 4, entering the temple with oil smeared on one's body or with shoes on. 5, throwing nails, hair, bones inside the temple. 6, throwing away chewed betel nut in the temple. 7, spitting in the temple. 8, worshipping after having gone to the burning place. 9, making water in the temple. 10, voiding excrements in the temple. 11, worshipping after having gone near a dead body. Number 12, entering the temple after having carried a dead body. Number 13, worshipping after eating at Shraddha rite. Number 14, staying in the shadow of the Vimana without permission, but without performing circumambulation. Number 15, voiding excrements and urine near the temple. Number 16, talking incoherently near the idol. Number 17, taking away the lamp from the idol to another place. Number 18, going away while narrating the sacred stories while the narrating of sacred stories is going on in the temple. 19, lying in the temple with legs stretched out, letting saliva flow. 20, offering flowers that are reserved for other purposes. 21, entering the temple directly after coming from another house, temple, without bathing. 22, considering Vishnu to be equal and not superior to other gods. Number 23, smelling of flowers which are to be offered. Number 24, taking a bath after touching chandalas or outcasts who are near Vishnu's temple and have come to serve Vishnu during a festival, thinking oneself impure by their touch. Interesting. Number 25, performing Achamana after drinking the holy water used for washing Vishnu's feet and for washing the feet of the Vaishnavas. List C has two offenses in worship from Incurium PR, pages 122.10, 123.4. Number 1, entering a temple in a vehicle with shoes on, and 2, not serving at a deity's festival. Number 3, not bowing before the deity. Number 4, saluting with only one hand. Number 5, performing the circumambulation before salutation and thereby disturbing the sequences of offerings in the puja. Number 6, bowing, etc., to the deity while being in impure condition. Number 7, stretching one's feet before the idol. Number 8, sitting on one's knees, with one's knees raised and encircled by one's hands, which is called Pariyanka Bandhana, before the idol. Number 9, sleeping in the temple. Number 10, eating in the temple. Number 11, talking falsely, mithya, in the temple. Number 12, talking loudly in the temple. Number 13, talking irrelevant things in the temple. Number 14, weeping in the temple. Number 15, quarreling in the temple. Number 16, troubling others in the temple. Number 17, favoring others in the temple. Number 18, amorous talking with women in the temple. Number 19, obscene speech in the temple. Number 20, breaking wind in the temple. 21, covering oneself with a blanket in the temple. Number 22, abusing others in the temple. 23, praising others in the temple. 24, offering ordinary material in worship when one can afford more. Number 25, eating of food which has not been offered, not offering seasonal. Number 26, not offering seasonal fruits. Okay. Number 27, offering of food which has been partly been eaten and left over. Number 28, sitting on with one's back turned to the deity. Number 29, saluting others in front of the deity. Number 30, silence before one's guru. Number 31, praising oneself in the temple. Number 32, abusing other deities in the temple. The punishments for these offenses consist mainly of being reborn as different kinds of animals for a certain number of times, besides from spending a certain number of years in one or several hells. Often, one can observe a connection between the nature of the offense committed by the worshipper and the species of animal as which he is said to have been reborn. The atonements provided in Varaha Purana with list A aim in inner and outer purification and thus consist mainly of restrictions regarding the food, fasting, eating of select items like barley, eating of the 5 products of the cow, Panchagavya, which are said to cause inner purification, sleeping in the open, Akashashayana, or lying in water, Jalasayana. They include old practices like Chandrayana, means following the course of the moon, fasting, Tapta Kritsha, Santa Pana, and Prajapatya. These are all different types of fasts. Add a connection between the nature of the offense and the atonement can sometimes be seen clearly. Thus, the atonement for touching the idol in the darkness without lighting a lamp, list A, number 15, includes the covering of one's eyes for 15 days. Instead of the atonements enjoined by Varaha Purana, which are hard to observe, the text mention easier methods. Varaha Purana 177.25 states that one's sins disappear in the course of a year if one observes a fast at the holy places, Sukara Tirtha or Mathura, and bathes in the Yamuna and the Ganges, and the Ganga there, Ganges. According to Shandilya Smriti 288, all patakas, which means sins, are gotten rid of by looking respectfully at the idol of the deity from the feet to the head. PP in pages 189-45, quoting Skanda Purana, recommends the recitation of a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as an atonement for 32 offenses in worship. According to Mitra Mishra's comment in PP pages 189-7-8, the reading of the sacred texts is no atonement for heavier offenses. PP pages 191-16-17, quoting Skanda Purana, assures that the deity who is respectfully worshipped, even with a single lotus, pardons 1,000 offenses. The power of Vishnu's name is often believed to wipe out sins. Thus, the Shodasupachara Puja ends with the prayer to Vishnu. Quote, I immediately bow to Achyuta, Vishnu, by remembering him and uttering whose name a deficiency in austerity, puja, and ritual is made up for. Similarly, also in Bhagavad Purana 8:23, 15, and 16, it's stated, how can there be any deficiency in ritualistic performance where you, the presiding Lord of all religious acts, are worshipped with complete devotion? The recital of your name rectifies all the defects arising out of wrong ritualistic procedure, inopportuneness of time and unsuitability of place, and in the provision of materials for sacrifice. Puja and Karmakanda, the daily puja, being a ritual act belonging to the duties to be performed during the day, anika, is understood as belonging to a part of the Shmriti dealing with ritual practices, karmakanda, and forms part of the yoga of ritual works and duties, kriya, or karma yoga, a path which is said to lead finally to liberation, moksha. The value of karma yoga as a means of liberation has often been underestimated in favor of the importance ascribed to jnana yoga, especially in the present, where there is little regard and understanding for rituals. Often the term karmakanda is used in a pejorative sense, implying that practices are being followed blindly by tradition without any understanding of their significance. There are several reasons for the bad reputation of karmakanda. A traditional exponent of Shaktism, S.C.V. Bhattacharya, regards the eagerness to avoid labor as the root cause for the unswerving faith in such shastras as seek to establish the superiority of the jnanakanda. As the daily duties prescribed by the texts are doubtless troublesome things, but the renunciation of karma as advertised by such devotees is renunciation of the sandhya prayers, daily and occasional worship of the deity, but not of such things as maintenance of wife and children, earning and spending money, eating, etc. The scriptures do not enjoin the abandonment of obligatory rites as the daily puja or substinction by a so-called symbolic or mental performance to which only trained people are entitled who have the mental capacity to perform such a worship. But the current bad reputation of karmakanda is also due to some common defects in the performance of the rituals that one can frequently witness, and in the attitude of many devotees as well as priests, who often let the puja denigrate into a purely mechanical performance owing to repeated performance. So basically, you learn one system of puja, but then you continue to do it again and again and again until you know it off by heart. So overimportance attached to outer purity, which is achieved by wearing and bathing and wearing in pure garments, and to formal elements sometimes goes together with negligence of the appropriate mental attitude. Against these tendencies, some authorities have emphasized the importance of mental purity and devotion, bhakti, declaring that worship without devotion is as good as not offered. This aspect has particularly been stressed by followers of the Bhakti movement, who have intended puja as one of their spiritual practices. Excursus, a note on the place of puja in the Bhakti system. The system of ninefold Bhakti, comprising of listening, Shravana, to the names and stories of Krishna, singing Kirtana of his names and glory, remembering Smarta of his names, rendering service to his feet, Parasevana, worship, Archana, paying obeisance, bowing down, Vandana, being his servant, Dasya, being his friend, Akya, Sakya, or Sakya, offering oneself in his service, Atmanivedana. So we have Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Parasevanam, Archana Bandhanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So the fourth member of this list, Parasevana, is explained by Mitra Mishra in his Bhakti Prakash, page 6523. As service to the Lord, Bhagavat Paricharya, which includes waving of chowries or chamaras, swinging Andolana, the deity, participating in holidays and big festivals. The Kantimala, pages 164, on the Bhakti Ratnavali defines it as service to the deity. Paricharya, Pratima Dao, while Brahma Sandarbha 158, that's by Jiva Goswami, 27, and Bhagavad Purana 7.5, 23 and 26 interprets it as seeing the idol, touching it and circumambulating it. The fifth member, Archana, is taken by the Bhakti Prakasha as puja, which is said to be the cause of happiness, abhyudaya, and ultimate liberation, nishreyasa. Bhagavat Prasadacharya's Bhakta Manoranjani, pages 162-26, and Bhagavad Purana 7.5, 23 to 26 defines Archana as procedure of puja with services as they are available. The sixth member, Vandana, refers to bowing down, nati, prostration before the idol, an independent act of devotion expressing complete self-surrender. Bhagavad Purana, 9th canto, 4th chapter, 15th verse, narrates the story of King Ambarish as an ideal bhakta of Vishnu, who dedicated all his actions to Vishnu's service. He engaged his mind in meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. His speech in singing the excellences of Lord Vishnu, Vaikuntha, his hands in service, that is, cleansing the temple of Hari and such other things, and his ears, senses in hearing, in listening to excellent stories of the imperishable Lord. He employed his eyes, his faculty of seeing in beholding the images and shrines of God Vishnu, Mukunda, his tactile sense in embracing the persons of the servants of God, his olfactory sense in smelling the fragrance of the tulsi leaves dedicated to his feet, and his tongue's sense of taste in what is offered to the Lord. He used his feet in walking to the holy places, hallowed with Lord Vishnu's feet, his head to bow down to the feet of God, Vishnu, Rishikesha, his own desire in the humble services of the Lord and not for the fulfillment of his worldly desires. In this way, he dedicated all his acts and round of duties to the glorious Lord Vishnu. Therefore, the ritual of puja, being a way of expressing bhakti, is described in the text treating of bhakti, such as Bhagavad Purana, 11th canto, 27th chapter, verse 7, part of the Uddhava Gita explaining Kriya Yoga. Bhakti Prakasha, pages 80, 13, 118, 10, and Gopal Bhatta's Hari Bhakti Vilas, chapters 3 to 11. According to Krama Sandarbha, the pages 159 to 130 to 131 or 231, the Bhagavad Purana 5:7:23-26, the Bhagavad tradition, however, does not insist on the necessity of ceremonial worship as much as the Pancharatra system does. The way of ceremonial worship is especially recommended for rich householders who can thereby utilize their wealth in the appropriate way. Pages 159-35. The passages of the Bhagavad Purana dealing with puja emphasize certain characteristics of worship. The worship with little means offering, they only get the worship, number one. Okay, so the passages of Bhagavad Purana dealing with the puja emphasize certain characteristics of worship. Number one, worship with little means offered in a spirit of devotion exceeds an elaborate ritual carried out in a purely mechanical manner. Okay, so it's important to have devotion and not to just do things in a mechanical way. The Lord said, what present have you brought for me from your house, O Brahmana? Even the slightest offering, a particle given to affection by my devotees, is considered by me as very great. But even if a lot of presents are given to me by one who is not my votary, they are not conducive to my joy or satisfaction. A person who devoutly offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water, I enjoy that which has been brought to me with devotion by a person controlled and of pure mind. Two, worship should be performed without exceptions. The merit gained from the performance of religious rites with selfish motives can only lead to the enjoyment of heavenly pleasures for a limited time, resulting in rebirth. It does not lead to final liberation, but a person who follows the path of disinterested devotion to me directly attains to me only. The worship should not be restricted to that of idols or deities, right? But is to be offered to all forms of the Lord. He who foolishly neglects me and the controller of the world, dwelling as a soul, Atman, in all beings, and worships merely the images, is as if offering oblations of ghee into ashes instead of into the fire. But although the Lord is present everywhere, the idol worship is recommended for those devotees who have not realized this truth.
Om Namo Narayana. Om Namo Narayana.